All right, I think we'll go ahead and get started. Seems like the wave of folks joining has slowed a little bit, so we'll go ahead and get started this morning. Um, I'm going to record today's session, our quarterly workforce convening, just so that we always do a follow-up and send recording out. So just so everyone's aware of that, going to go ahead and make sure everyone's up to speed. But thanks everybody for jumping on today for our Ottertail County quarterly workforce convening. It's good to see some folks virtually and obviously get together. We enjoy doing these convenings to really bring partners together and share some good stuff. And actually I'm really excited for today's speakers to join us. So we have some good topics today to share, but my name is Sarah Shaky. I'm a project manager with the county's Community Development and Housing Office or department. And we have, like I said, a couple of, I'm really excited for our two speakers today. We're switching a little bit from our traditional 3-speaker model just because felt like there was some really good content to share this month. So we'll kick it off with just our workforce strategy, just an overview refresh of that, and then we'll get into our two speakers that will talk about some AI tools for all of you as employers and partners and how you can use it, best practices, things to be aware of. That's kind of a new and emerging topic, so we wanted to make sure we were sharing some information on that. And then we also have Jackie from M-State on today to talk about their mentorship program. Obviously, summer's maybe a little bit slower time at the college, at college campuses, but wanted to get that information out to all of you as employers to be thinking about and prep for if you're interested over the summer. And then we'll have some time at the end for some Q&A and discussion as always. So I will just kick us off really quickly with a refresh of our OTC Works workforce strategy. This is the framework that the county uses whenever we're pursuing any workforce development efforts, creating any programming, that sort of thing. And as many of you have probably heard before, OTC stands for Ottertail County, but also stands for Opportunities, Training, and Connections, which align with each of our action areas here on the screen. So opportunities, promoting the availability of job opportunities with family sustaining wages, and some of those workforce resources within the county. Training, kind of helping employers promote their opportunities and recruit and retain more effectively. And then that third action area of connections and creating partnerships to improve occupational readiness, reduce barriers to employment, and align skills for future workforce needs. So with that, I am going to, we were kind of,
where it was that
I'm going to make sure we're all muted here. As we were planning for this month, we kind of, I think a lot of you who have joined us in the past can attest to the fact that we've talked to, talked about recruiting and retention and a lot of those kind of topics, workforce shortage, in general. But as we were kind of planning this month, we felt like this topic of AI tools was really, really relevant. We're having conversations at the county within, internally about AI tools and I think it was safe to assume that lots of you as employers are having some of those conversations or coming up on this topic as well. So we reached out to Ian Karlstrom with the West Central Minnesota Small Business Development Center, SBDC, because like I said, as we've been having these internal conversations, we've also done some trainings, and Ian is a very, I would say, early adopter as far as AI tools go, and is kind of a local, what I would consider a local expert. So we reached out to him to share a presentation with everyone. Focused on, AI generally, but also from an employer and an HR perspective, even more specifically. So I'm going to turn it over to him. Like I said, I consider him our local expert, and he was the first person that we reached out to about this topic. So I will turn it over to him, and excited to have you here. Thanks, Ian.
Thanks, Sarah. Can you hear me all right? I switched off my headphones. Okay, so thanks for the introduction. I'm Ian with the SBDC, as we call it, Small Business Development Centers. Today we're going to be talking about AI, which is a very broad topic. So we're going to get started with kind of a 30,000-foot view just really focused on the HR side of things. So I'm going to be talking today about some tips and tricks and use cases that are probably relevant to you guys without even knowing where you are on that journey. Some of you on the call might be already even ahead of me. Some of you might not be comfortable with AI yet. So I'm going to try to talk generically and at the beginner level, and then we'll answer some questions. I'll share some more resources and try to make this hit home for as many of you as possible. AI is just such a big topic that you never know where people are at. So with that said, let's get started. Can you go ahead and advance? So AI is just one of the many things that the SBDC does to support small business. We exist all across the country. So if you've got friends, colleagues, loved ones in other parts of the country, we're there too. We assist businesses on the startup side of things, as well as throughout the life of the business. So if you're starting a new business or if you're trying to grow a business, get access to funding or all sorts of different things, we can support that. And our services are always confidential and at no cost to you. Feel free to scan the QR code to check out our website there. All right, thanks, Sarah. So let's dive in. Today, I wanted to talk about kind of hiring versus talent acquisition. You guys know what those things mean, but how does AI fit into both? We can talk a little bit about building smarter workflows and how to operate a small business even without an HR department with AI being your assistant. We can talk about different use cases for AI from onboarding through coaching, policy creation, and more. I do want to talk about some of the risk side of AI from privacy to policy, like and when not to use AI, and then give you guys some simple next steps that can just help you take that journey one step at a time. And why does this matter? Obviously, finding and keeping great employees is harder than ever, especially in many of the small towns across Otter County. And so I really wanted to tailor this presentation to you guys and what the feedback that I'm getting of like what is going to hit home and what is going to make a difference. A lot of small businesses have HR teams and some don't, but we're all very busy and stretched very thin. And so how can AI be a part of that? While AI can help you save time and reduce mistakes and all that, it still has some major risks and vulnerabilities. So we'll talk about that today. And then, of course, if you guys have any questions, feel free to throw them in the chat or save them for the end, and we'll just talk through questions. Next slide, please. Okay, so I wanted to share this first. We have AI Resource Lab. It's really aimed at small businesses and entrepreneurs, but especially for any of you who are new at AI, maybe haven't tried it or maybe just tried using it once or twice. This will be a really great first step. We have 3 training videos that we've created. You can get through them all in 30 minutes that are relevant to anybody, even in the HR world. We've got some interactive AI tools that are like pre-built GPTs that you can use. And one of them is an HR blueprint assistant that can help with things like creating job descriptions or policy manuals or different things like that. These are meant for you to just start playing around with and experimenting with AI if you haven't yet, to make it really accessible and just super beginner friendly. And then we've also started adding some different downloadable AI tools. Again, these are aimed at small businesses, but from an HR perspective, you might find some value, and there's certainly transferable value depending on the task and role that you're working on. So feel free to check that out. We like to think about the AI adoption journey in different phases, and everyone's at different phases, like I mentioned. So we've broken this down into 4 different phases from awareness, which is for sure where everyone's at. Like AI exists, but for some people, they're not comfortable with AI, and that's okay. I'm not here to twist your arm. But if you haven't tried AI, we really want to make sure we're supporting those people. Some people are in that consideration phase, like maybe I've tried AI once or twice, but not really sure what tools to use. Some people are in that AI adoption phase where you're using different tools for different things, but there's still room for improvement. And then some of us on the call might be in that integration phase where we're really getting deep into AI, using different tools for different tasks, maybe measuring ROI or having feedback loops. And so no matter where you're at on the journey, we're not trying to, again, twist your arm anywhere, but we really want to encourage uh, just one step at a time. So don't compare yourself to anyone else, and just make sure AI is working for you and not you working for it. Next slide, please. Okay, so let's talk about AI for hiring. Now, you guys as HR folks have been in that position where you need to hire somebody, right? And maybe it's a planned opening, maybe it's somebody walked out and quit on you and you have to fill that role quickly. AI can really help solving these things fast. You can write things very clearly, such as job descriptions. You can ask for feedback from AI to talk about specific Minnesota regulations and policies. So, for example, AI can help navigate earn sick and safe time if you use it right. AI can even help review resumes and summarize top candidates. I would encourage you to still be that deciding factor and still, do the reviewing on your own, but AI can really help to speed up that process. Um, AI can even help you ask questions like, hey, why aren't we getting a lot of candidates for this role? Or why are all of our applicants underqualified? Like, how can we design a better job description for the applicants that we're getting? Or based on this applicant, how can we design a more fitting onboarding schedule? Things like that take a lot of manual massaging when you're doing it the old-fashioned way, but AI can really help with that. AI can even help draft interview questions or create offer letters that you can reuse and tweak. Some of the templates that you've probably used for many years, uh, AI can help polish those up and take them to the next level. So the goal with AI, I like to use this as an example for a lot of small business owners who are maybe hiring their first employee, have never done it before, and therefore don't know what they're doing, right? And so you can move fast through those things that you've never done before without sacrificing quality or making oversights that could be predicted, or just going off of your gut instincts. AI can really help you navigate a lot of that stuff that's new or that needs to be done in a pinch when traditionally it might have taken you a few hours to do some of these things. Click next slide for me. Throughout the presentation, I might jump around. And again, I'm trying to cast a wide net here for all the people on the call. So if I jump around or move too quickly, feel free to ask. But let's talk about biases in HR, because one of the things that we just mentioned was using AI to evaluate candidates, for example. And when it comes to AI, there can be bias. And the way that AI works is it kind of uses the internet as a database. And so we all know that everything on the internet is true, right? So if that's the database, then we have to navigate how AI interprets the stuff that's not true. And so through the different AI certifications that I've got, I've learned about many different biases that AI is capable of. And so what that means for you guys is if you dumped a bunch of resumes into an AI chat and said, find me the best candidates that have the best qualifications or the highest education, things like that, AI might make oversights. It might have biases against people's names, because if there are certain names on the internet that have historical biases built in, that could affect how your candidates are judged. Locations, education, if somebody made a little typo, something like that can really affect how AI reviews these things. And then if that ends up to be a candidate that gets overlooked, that ultimately comes down to you guys as the HR people. So make sure you're using AI just as the tool that you can speak for the results of. Things like age bias have certain HR, rules built into it, and so you don't want to solely rely on AI for those things that you guys know have consequences if they're done wrong. So keep that in mind and just never let AI decide alone. Make sure you review all of those AI outputs, question the logic. You can even ask AI to double check its work, things like that. And as you get more familiar with AI, you will understand a little bit better on like how to prompt it, how to guide it. how to ask different questions to make sure that it's evaluating the data as best as it can. And so just keep that in mind, that there are many different biases that AI is capable of. The other thing is hallucinations are real, and your HR isn't immune to that. And what a hallucination is just AI making something up with confidence. Like, it's a confident liar sometimes, um, which means that even though something sounds true, it's okay to fact check it, double check it. And one of the best ways that I've found to prevent this is starting out by doing it with doing AI stuff that you're already familiar with. So like your own policies that you've created, you can upload it into your AI platform and have AI be the chatbot. And if it starts answering your questions incorrectly, then you automatically would know that because you created the policy, right? So just using it for tasks that you're familiar with as you get comfortable using the tools. So things like policy creation, you guys might be familiar with like HIPAA and different HR related policies. Um, it's good that you remain in the driver's seat of those, because AI might hallucinate on something that's really important. So if it comes down to a critical employee situation, maybe use AI to get some of the answers and point you in the right direction, but you might want to double check those state laws or those different regulations. Always verify that legal content. Resume scoring. I've used AI for scoring resumes and different competitions, and it actually does quite well. But just make sure that you're setting up the rubrics in the scoring system and communicating exactly how you want AI to score the resume, not just generically, right? And so you can say, like, score these candidates in these 4 areas. Each area has a 0 to 5 score, and telling it exactly like what qualifies the score 1 versus scoring it 2, things like that, so it doesn't get lost in the buzzwords and just the sound of things and not just the substance. And ultimately, like I said, you're still responsible for knowing who's a good fit for your company. Um, a lot of companies are using AI to answer employee questions. Think of it like a chatbot that you might have on your website for customers, but instead you're using it internally for your employees. You want to double check those things and make sure it's answering things correctly, making sure it's linking to your policies, not just generic policies, right? And so it's very easy to do a lot of this stuff, but as you get through your AI journey, just take it one step at a time so you don't get in a situation that AI is hallucinating too much. And then DEI and compliance, with DEI being such a sort of a hot topic these days, a lot of stuff out there on the internet is bipolar, good or bad or otherwise. And so some of that stuff might impact AI because it's, again, using that as sort of a brain, a database. And so making sure that you have your company values, your company mission, and your company's voice coming out of those things is really important, because in these types of environments that we're dealing with, charged terms or bipolar terms or just whatever could impact the outputs of AI. That makes sense. So next slide, please. How to reduce the risk of hallucinations. A lot of this comes down to good prompting, and we'll talk about that in a second, but good prompting and keeping the human in the loop. Always treat AI like a human AI sandwich, where it starts with human. You're going to prompt it to do something. Maybe you'll upload some documents or a picture or something, or give it a prompt. AI is going to give you an output, and then you should always finish it, iterate, have a conversation, do something else with it. Don't just copy, paste, and click send, because you're ultimately responsible for those things. And the more that you prompt it, the more that you talk to it, the more that you dial it in, the better it will give you an output. If you just try doing what's known as a 0-shot prompt, like ask it one question and you're done, it's most likely not going to be exactly what you need. So make sure you check the facts, cross-reference it, and have more of a conversation with AI to dial it in, and you'll see what I mean by, it'll be more closely to what you need instead of just a generic output. And then also train your team. When they're using AI, if things sound too good or too bad to be true, double check it. Just like we always have, AI just makes a lot of information a lot more easily accessible, but whether it's true or not is also something to be considered. And really, when you think about how AI works, we won't get into this today. Everything that AI says is a hallucination. It doesn't actually think like you and me. It just understands patterns really, really well. And it's kind of scary to think how predictable humans are in that way. But just consider everything that AI says is a hallucination. It's not malicious. It's just overconfident. It's just a tool, right? And therefore, we need to be the talent that is controlling the tool. When you're doing HR stuff, don't let it become your liability. Just keep it as a tool in the passenger seat. Next slide. As I mentioned, prompting is a big word, but all it really means is communication. And all of you guys, as HR folks, have managed people before. You understand good communication. You don't hire a new employee, introduce them to all their coworkers, give them a tour of their office, and then sit them down at their desk and say, make me a sales report, right? Because they need context, like what even is a sales report, just like AI. So in my experience, the people that have managed other people have a certain degree of management and communication that works really well with AI. So try using those same techniques and those same skills that you would with a real person with AI, and you'll get good outcomes. It needs clear direction, clear goals, real communication, just like a new hire. And it's not always right, just like a new hire, but it does get better with iterations, with feedback. You can tell it when it's wrong. You can ask it to cite its sources. And it just operates a lot like talking to another person that way. And so when I'm working on an AI project with somebody and they say, that was a good output that you just got. Give me that prompt. What was that prompt? Well, there is no magic bullet when it comes to prompt. It's just about talking to it in the right way. So obviously hiring is not synonymous with HR. Like you guys do way more than just hiring, right? Hiring is just one thing along this entire journey of relationship building and talent acquisition and policy. And so AI can help with much more than just the transaction of hiring. So consider after you get the hire, after they've accepted the job, you have the first week or several weeks of onboarding. And AI can help with that, creating maybe customized checklist or resources or scheduling complicated, processes. Maybe they've got 15 different people to meet and spend time with over the first 2 weeks, and AI can maybe help schedule that. AI can really help take those policies that you have and break them down into bite-sized, learnable modules. And it doesn't mean that you have to start from scratch. AI can take what you guys already have and make it into a chatbot or learning modules. AI can even help support like retention with different types of trainings, internal communications. We can dive into more of this stuff if you guys have questions, but it can really help your small team feel bigger and more organized. And especially if you have a small team and maybe you've got people that are on call and other people that are trying to take vacation, you can really avoid some of those like after hours phone calls or lost productivity when people can't get a hold of each other. And that can lead to frustration, right? And lack of productivity, but AI can really help that in a lot of ways. So yeah, think long term about AI because it can help you build systems, not just fill jobs. Taking that a little bit further, AI can help build your team and your reputation over time as an employer. And so I've always heard, as long as I can remember, companies talking about how hard it is to attract and retain good talent, right? But when I go across the street and their competitor is thriving, some of that is on you guys as the employer to brand yourself as a great place to work, a great place to belong, right? And AI can help that on the internal side, making sure people know why your business is a great place to work. Um, you can use AI to draft outreach messages for potential hires, or maybe even figure out better strategies to appeal to people who aren't actively applying for jobs. You can even analyze turnover. Maybe you have exit interviews, exit notes, maybe different um, observations that you've made about, what happens in your workplace. And you can just kind of dump all of that into AI and say, hey, give me some trends of why people leave our organization, or how long do people stay here, or what would make our company a better place to work. Things like that, that maybe you've laid in your bed late at night, can't sleep, thinking about these things, and AI can just give you a different perspective on those. AI can even help map out future roles in your company, like depending on what your goals are or what your
It
growth
did,
opportunities
yes.
are. Maybe you're looking at rolling out a new product or a new service, and you say, how many people do we need to hire for this to be effective? And AI can help with that. Or maybe your customer service department is way too big, and you say, how can we save money with our customer service department? Or, how do we do more with less? Or if that one person did walk out on the job, do we really need to fill that role, or how can we do better with the existing team that we have? Things like this, AI can really help give a different perspective on too. And yeah, if hiring is a transaction, talent acquisition is the whole relationship. And you guys are really thinking about that big picture, longer term for your companies, and think about how AI can fit in with that. Keep in mind that your candidates are already using AI, and that's okay. They probably used AI to help write their resume, and why shouldn't they, right? They might even be using AI to sound smarter on those virtual interviews. Maybe if you ask them a question, they're typing it into ChatGPT on the side of the screen. Okay, it's maybe feels a little bad, but it's not cheating, it's a skill. Smart people use smart tools, right? And so interview for how you think, how you solve problems, how you work with AI. Ask people, how are you using AI in your real life? Don't try to catch them and make them feel in trouble, because this can really help elevate your entire organization in different ways that we've never known before these days. And so maybe your best hires are using AI, and embrace that. And maybe your team should too. We'll talk more about how to build some policies from the bottom up. But some of the best ideas for AI adoption have come from people with the boots on the ground, because they're the ones that talk to the customers and deal with the product. So really embrace that. Next. So yeah, rethinking interviews. So your old interview structure might not cut it, where now you might want to ask candidates to walk through how they'd use AI to solve real problems in your business. I remember the days of being in customer service and having big customer service manuals to page through and find questions to answers, right? But maybe we can use AI to solve that. Maybe we can upload our frequently asked questions to a chatbot, so our customer service team has that chatbot as a backup, but they can still say the answer to the customer, right? Maybe asking candidates how they would adapt and troubleshoot and ask better follow-up questions that help build better departments, build better organizations, and making sure that people prioritize good judgment, critical thinking, and just the people skills, right? We don't want to
Yeah,
hire
that
robots.
I can't answer for you. I mean, it would.
And yeah, just keeping in mind that AI is now part of the toolbox, and um, getting a finger on the pulse of how your employees are using it will really help your organization to better understand what training is needed and how to build better policies. Next. So shadow AI comes from a term called shadow IT, where consider individuals across your organization using different software, different platforms, different programs that aren't necessarily approved by your IT, right? So that the term shadow IT has been around, but now it's called shadow AI, which basically means that different people in your organization might be using different programs in different ways. And some of those things might put you at risk. Some people might be oversharing into AI that you didn't know, and maybe they're compromising trade secrets. Some people might be using the free versions of softwares, which could potentially put your data in the learning modules, right? So there's a lot of different ways, but the way to overcome this is to start having conversations of how are you using it, start putting policies together. We'll talk about that in a second. But the risk of this is potentially leaking data, potentially leading to bad decisions. If your AI models aren't trained on your company's values, it might steer people in ways that aren't company approved, or just simply having inconsistent answers from one employee to the next. Right now today, if I were to put a question into my chat GPT that I've been using, and you all were to put the same exact question into yours, it will give us different answers based on its memory of each of us. And so these things do start playing into how AI shapes decisions and different things. And so the solution to shadow AI is not to ban AI, it's to lead it, it's to build policies. And you can start those from the bottom up by just asking people, how do you use AI when you're at work? Whether that's once a day or once a week or once a month, like what is the thing that helps? Because it might help identify pain points and what's needed from a training standpoint. And yeah, good policies are written with your people, not just for them. So let's talk now, next slide, about policies, right? And so the best policies when it comes to AI, we need to keep in mind that this is an ever-evolving landscape. They should be written in plain language, super simple. It's better to have a one-page policy that people actually look at than a 20-page policy that nobody looks at, right? And so maybe just keeping it like a red light, yellow light, green light when it comes to a couple things. Number one, which tools or platforms are approved, and for what types of tasks or data can you put in there, right? And so you guys know personal information that you have to deal with HIPAA or employee files. Generally, you don't want to put in the personally identifiable information into AI. Just like anywhere else, you wouldn't post it on Facebook, you wouldn't blast their social security number in the company newsletter. Just like that, you're not going to put it on AI either. And so this could be the very start of a good policy, and just saying what platforms are approved always, what platforms are approved never, and what platforms maybe should you talk to your manager about. And the same thing with data, like what data could you be using AI for? What data should you never put in there? And what data should you talk to your manager about first? That's a great place to start. Next. And the cool thing is you can use AI to help create those policies. And so this could be as simple as having meetings or interviewing people or surveying employees about how they're using AI. And you can take all that data, and it doesn't even have to be super organized. You can take all that data and just dump it into an AI chat and say, summarize this data with the most urgent or high priority things first. Give me the themes or sentiments, help me create policies, and AI can really help work with you on that. You can even pull in different examples from your peers, or if your association groups like SHRM have other policies, maybe you've got 3 different peers that have an AI policy. You can put all 3 of their policies in and say, hey, make me a common version without duplication that takes the best parts of all 3 of these. A lot of these tasks I know you guys know how to do, but it's just a matter of time and being able to do that kind of stuff in a matter of seconds rather than a matter of hours. And then, of course, it's up to you to finish it, polish it up, make sure the verbiage is aligned with your company and all that. Another thing I really like AI for is when I know I need to do something, and I've done it before, but maybe it's been a while, maybe I forgot some steps, or maybe for whatever reason, I'm just not familiar with certain aspects of it. So I can say, okay, AI, I want to do something, fill in the blank. I want to write an offer letter, or I want to create an employee policy. Here's what I know. And then I always ask, what do you think? What's missing, or what's required in my state, or anything like that, to really be more collaborative, not just to boss the AI around, but to get the AI insight to add to what I know already. Okay, next slide. And then from there, I love creating chatbots for things. My very first thing I ever did with AI was I dumped our 150-page SBDC operations manual in there, which, by the way, I have read several times, but it's not that great, so I don't love reading it. But when I need to find something, I would usually do like a Google search, or a word search, I mean. And if that word showed up like 27 times in 4 different sections, like I really had to dive in. So I just, in my head, I went through the checklist, like, is this okay to put into AI? Yes. Is there any identifying information? No. It's a public document. So I put it in there and I just asked AI, like, can we do this? Or how do I do that? And it was like refreshing how much time it saved me from combing through that document. So not only can AI help you create that document in the first place, but I know that you guys all have documents like that, and you can create your own custom GPT, and you can unlink it to the internet, so it's not going to go searching other stuff, and it will just give you a policy chatbot to help save time, so you don't have to look up the question if an employee asks you. You can just get it right away, and you're familiar with it, so you know if it's right or wrong. So yeah, use this to potentially reduce confusion, avoid contradicting yourself, saving hours. And if you're feeling really comfortable with the technology, even putting that on your internal website for employees to use, if it comes down to that too. And AI can be used for onboarding. I've touched on this a little bit, but consider that journey from new hire to senior employee, right? And how does AI help with that? It can help a lot in those onboarding steps for creating schedules, answering questions. You can even give it a certain voice if you like humor, or if you want to keep it factual, or if you want to put your own company puns in there. AI can really sound like an extension of your team, not just a robot. And people feel more comfortable, they stay longer when you take good care of them. So something like this could help take your company profile one step further when it comes to being an employer. All right, I think we're getting close to the end here. So AI for performance and coaching. AI can really be a tool when it comes to this. So you guys are tracking attendance, doing performance reports, tracking incidents, having different conversations with people. And AI can really create custom performance or coaching, or maybe you're having an issue with an employee and everyone's so lost in the issue that you're kind of not seeing clearly, right? And so maybe AI can say, hey, have you tried this instead of that? Now you want to be careful again with what you share in there. And the free versions are a lot more private, so you don't have to worry about a lot of that stuff. But maybe you can create custom growth plans or performance improvement plans for employees. And you can ask AI, make the employee feel less threatened by this, even though they're kind of in trouble. You know what I mean? And to give it a different voice that engages people rather than feeling like they're in trouble getting called to the principal's office. I know all of your employees love you guys, so you wouldn't do that. But some of these critical conversations, AI can put a fun spin on. And then privacy, security. You guys will probably do a lot of research on this, but AI doesn't mean no rules. In fact, we need more clarity than ever. And so you don't want to be putting names, addresses, health information especially into the free tools. You still need to consider HIPAA and other compliance stuff. And there are specific AI tools for HR. So consider how those play into your organizations. You don't have to be stuck with tools like ChatGPT or others that aren't a good fit. And treat all of this stuff with cybersecurity as you would anything else. So don't leave your AI tool unlocked on your desktop. If you have a document, make sure that's saved somewhere accordingly, right? And just consider that cybersecurity as just like anything else in your organization. And then, be smart with your AI tools. ChatGPT doesn't necessarily integrate with other tools, but some AI tools might. And so you might you might have 2 or 3 different AI tools that you're working with on different tasks. So just keep that in mind. You don't have to jump into using 3 right away by any means, but just keep in mind that some of these tools link to other tools and help you do workflows. And some are just generative tools like ChatGPT. It'll write you the email, but you still have to copy and paste it out of there, put it in your inbox to be sent. So yeah, it's your job to figure out how these AI tools get connected with each other. And yeah, AI, just like anything, it's a tool. So you're in charge. So just because AI said it doesn't mean you need to repeat it. Don't blindly copy and paste, especially if it's a critical conversation. Maybe you're having AI write you an email of a tense situation. Like you can write, in the olden days, I would write that email like 3 or 4 times until I'm comfortable with it. But AI can help you do that quickly. But maybe it's still a good idea to sleep on it and let the emotions calm down before you push send, right? So, and then lastly, just let people know when you're recording them. I'll leave it at that. Yeah, AI helps save time, not responsibility. It'll help you draft faster, think clearer, document smarter, but it shouldn't make decisions for you. It shouldn't replace your real leadership. And it shouldn't, it's not the cover up if things go wrong. So just always make sure you own that. And then, yeah, some final takeaways. You don't need an HR department to use AI. You just need a reason to start. So if you're a small business that doesn't have an HR person, maybe AI can be that part of your team a little bit. You lead the way. Use AI with intention. Certainly start by exploring if you want, experimenting, but eventually get really specific about your AI and how you're using it and what's approved. So that way you don't have to deal with every employee situation saying, can I use AI with this? Can I use AI for that? Eventually build your policies for the long-term greater good. And if you haven't used AI, here's my top 3 recommendations is number 1, use it like a search engine. This is really fun. It's a lot less scrolling and clicking. So just look stuff up using AI. It's low risk and it gets good practice. And then use AI as a starter for tasks you already know how to do, but maybe exploring how to do it faster. And then finally, use AI to learn what you don't know. And so again, asking AI, what am I overlooking? What else should I know? Things like that. To eventually keep you from getting into hallucination traps or things like that. And then lastly here, if you guys have any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
This was awesome, Ian. Thank you so much for jumping on today and sharing all of this. I find it really interesting that you're going to use AI to write a policy about using AI.
I know,
I think that
right?
was really funny. I think we'll just for the sake of time, thank you again, Ian. If anyone has questions or conversations starters, feel free to drop those in the chat. But we are going to go on to our next speaker, Jackie. And Jackie's going to share some information, like I mentioned earlier, about State's mentorship program. And they, like I mentioned before, I'm sure State's campus is a little bit slower now than it is from September to May, but wanted to share this information out with our employers just to kind of get the wheels turning. And I know Jackie had mentioned that they recruit kind of later in the summer and early fall for mentors. So wanted to get this on folks' radar ahead of time. But I will turn it over to Jackie, and thanks for joining us today.
Well, first of all, thank you for inviting me. It's always exciting to talk about different programs that we have for the students here at M-State. Most of us who work at M-State, I think, do that because we're passionate about helping the students and helping them succeed. And the Spartan Mentorship Program is something that I think that is a really good fit for our students. Give a little bit of background. So I work at Fergus Area College Foundation, which supports the Fergus Falls campus of M-State. And through that, we started the Spartan Alumni Connection. And if you want to advance to the next slide, Sarah. The Spartan Alumni Connection is a private platform for anybody in the Spartan family. So current students, especially alumni, former employees, retired employees, and so forth. It's a way that everybody can connect. It's also a way to help us keep connected with our alumni. As a transfer, highly a transfer campus, our alumni move a lot over the years when they leave the campus, and we found that the Spartan Alumni Connection is a better way to keep connected rather than trying to keep all those addresses updated. And we offer other things through the program, but it was because of having this online platform that we started being able to develop the mentorship program. If you want to go to the next slide, Sarah. Our goals with the mentorship program was to provide opportunities for the alumni to engage with current students in order to help foster success and retention of the students, as well as engaging alumni. And we expanded it beyond alumni to include community members because we think there's a good value in connecting students with the current community. And if you want to go ahead to the next slide. We invited community members and alumni to join into the mentorship program as a way to connect, to develop relationships with someone whose focus is solely on the success of the student. It's a way to help them connect with the Fergus Falls campus and to the community in new ways. They can learn about the career pathways. It helps them to kind of prepare for searching for jobs and internships, and even knowing what some of those possibilities are. And it's a source to grow their professional network. As you can see, we started the program back in 2021. You may go ahead and advance to the next slide. We have also been heavily recruiting mentors. We try very hard to pair up students with mentors that are a good match, whether they have a similar background as far as being, this past semester we connected a former single parent who was a single parent when she was an alum with a current single parent alum. They had those similar experiences, and it's really neat to see how people connect and share those experiences, and it helps the students to know that they're not alone going through some of these things. They're not the first ones to go through some of these and have these experiences, and to meet with somebody who has walked before really gives them confidence in their journey. Go ahead to the next slide. Besides matching up on a personal level with their experiences, we ask what the students are interested in learning and going into, and then we try to find people who have exposure in those topics. As you can see, we have a wide range of needs within the professional environment. A huge one is in the healthcare and nursing. That's we do a lot of nursing staff and sonography here on the Fergus Falls campus, and those mentors are hard to find right now. As those of you know, in the healthcare industry, employees are short, and so we are trying to, we branch out a little bit. We may be in a hospital or a nursing home setting, we'll reach out to administrators or staff in HR and so forth who are more, they maybe don't have the hands-on patient experience, but they can still expose the students to those options, because we know that nurses are and CNAs are short-staffed and working long hours. So we try to be creative in how we can do some of those matchups. Go ahead to the next slide. There are benefits, as we've said, to having the mentor, and you may go ahead to the next slide. This is kind of a repeat. These are some of the ads that we have shown to students to gain their interest in mentorship. And we have a couple different tracks. We can help them if they have a career in mind, like I was showing you on how we can match that up, but we also help those who don't have a career in mind to help expose them to different avenues and different job opportunities, which I think it would be really a good source for this group, because students come in from all over the nation and they might not know of some of the different opportunities that are available. And so being able to show them some of those opportunities, many students who come to the Fergus Falls campus, and I shouldn't say just Fergus Falls campus, this is kind of true about community and technical colleges across the nation. A lot of students really feel like they belong once they get there. They're working in a smaller environment. They're working with people who are passionate about their success. They feel valued. They start to grow into themselves, and then they start to expand that feeling to the communities that they are they're in, and it makes them want to come back. And we do have students that come from all over that end up staying in this region, and that's thanks to the community that we're in. But when doing that, it's nice to show them what some of the job opportunities are that they might not have experienced before. Go ahead to the next slide. With the mentorship program, as we're recruiting mentors and the mentees, we don't expect people to come into this and know exactly what they're doing or how to progress and so forth. We have a manual that talks about the do's and the don'ts, what's the good parts about mentoring, what can you expect, and we take you through that training. Go ahead to the next slide. We even go so far as to say what is involved with being a successful mentee, but also being a successful mentor. So if you've never mentored before, don't let that stop you from coming in and mentoring. Go ahead to the next slide. We even have a schedule. We tailored our mentoring program over an 8-session period, which we think that can be achieved within a semester. And we break it down into what are some certain types of activities that are beneficial. The slide that you're seeing in front of you, we have found works really well for students who are what we think of as, say, a traditional college student who from our area, who is kind of familiar with college. Their parents have maybe had some college experience. They're not first generation. They're coming prepared. They have a plan. They kind of know what they want to do after being there 2 years here at Fergus, whether it's to join right into the workforce or maybe go on for learning. But they might have some questions along the way, or maybe they're undecided. They're trying to decide between 2 packs. This track works pretty well. And we always tell both our mentors and our mentees that this is a guideline, but each relationship should tailor the mentoring session to what is the most beneficial for the mentee. And that depends on what the mentee needs, but also what the mentor is bringing to the session. This track in particular, we had a student who just recently finished it, and she was so excited because her mentor really focused a lot on the rock stars at work. He connected her with, I want to say, 4 or more different businesses to do job shadowing in the areas that she was interested in, and it helped her plan out her future. She even, I believe, came up with a summer internship that she's working at this summer. And so she was really impressed because she didn't have any idea that the mentorship would open up doors like that for her. Go ahead to the next slide. What we have found out, though, especially this past semester, was that that track that I just showed you isn't as successful for students who are maybe the first generation students or who are transitioning for the first time to adulthood and don't have some of the same support systems and tools that traditionally we have thought that college students come with. And so I actually used AI, as Ian was talking about, to build up a different model that we're working on. And as he talked about with the human AI sandwich, my next step is to meet with a few people who are more familiar with the clientele that needs a little bit more help transitioning and to fine-tune the sessions and so forth. And so we're going to focus an alternate track of mentoring about becoming successful in college. Things as basic as you need to go to class and to be getting your homework done. I mean, it sounds like it should be a natural thing, but those types of things help transition also into the workplace. It's like you need to show up and go to work and to do that commitment as well. And some of those things with people who have had different experiences growing up, those aren't the things that they've learned. And I wouldn't succeed in the world that they're coming from. And so I need to help show them how to succeed in the world that they're coming to. And that's kind of what our mentorship program needs to do, and we need to do that transition. So this one's being developed. We hope to have that fine-tuned by the time we kick off the mentorship program. And we also have some tools in place to help mentors and mentees decide which track might be best for them. Go ahead to the next slide. And like I said, we have tools on the Spartan Alumni Connection site for different kinds of sessions to help give ideas on how to implement some of these or go through some of these different sessions. We don't just say, hey, this is what you should do and figure it out. we have some tools available for you. We also, through the Spartan Alumni Connection, you can talk to other mentors and connect with them as well if you have questions, and connect with us. And go ahead to the next slide. And so that kind of is our mentorship program in a nutshell. We welcome people to sign up. Like I said, we really work to match the students with mentors that will connect with them on multiple levels. And so as we have mentors sign up willing to be mentors, realize that we're not going to necessarily match you up every time we run a mentorship program. It's going to be depending upon the students that come through that are interested in mentorship. And we don't, when you sign up as a mentor, you're not automatically like you have to do it. We always check, is this a good time for you to do mentorship, and work it out that way. We have mentors that are in different states. We offer the ability with virtual communication. They can mentor that way. And timelines can be flexible. We had a mentor last semester that he was in India. And so we had some virtual sessions, but then we also kind of tailored it that you can catch up and go into the summer, even though, so that way it didn't have to be done during that semester. And that worked well for both him and the mentee. Some of the exciting things, I told you about the success story of that other mentee earlier. We also had a student, one of our first mentorship students, he knew he wanted to be a nurse. And he had known that since probably midway through his high school career. His first semester in college, we paired him in a mentorship with a nurse, and she took him through the mentorship program, and he figured out that nursing actually wasn't a good fit for his personality. And so it saved him a lot of time and money in his education system to have that exposure early on, to know that, because when he was going through his studies, he wouldn't have received that kind of feedback about himself until at least the second year, if not the fourth semester of college. And so there's some real great values in that. Some of our mentors have come back and told us about how meaningful the opportunity is for them to give back and to help students, and that it reminded him of the best part of his job, and that was mentoring and helping people explore and broadening their pathways. And so we like to believe that the mentorship program is good for both the mentees and the mentors, and that you get some personal value from that, besides possibly being able to make connections and have those ties back. The reason the Fergus Area College Foundation sponsors the mentorship program, which is completely free to students, is that we want the students to associate with Fergus Falls and remember us later on in life, whether it's coming back to the community to work, which many of us have after we've gone on to education elsewhere. Maybe we've had some other job experiences, and then we've come back to Otter County to do working. But also, eventually, we would like to have their support with us, and just the more ties that we can have makes that better all around. And there we go. If you have any questions, let us know. We're always welcome to visit with you about this.
Thanks, Jackie. It's really fun to hear those success stories. I remember when we were more involved in youth workforce, when we were kind of focusing on high school, it was always fun to hear about, I got connected to someone in town that I never would have met otherwise. And it's really fun to make those connections and build those bridges, because sometimes, you might feel like you're on an island up there on campus. So it's really cool when they get to plug into other places in town and just connect on a personal level too. So it's really fun to hear that stuff. Thank you so much for sharing that. So I know we're coming up on the hour here, but I do want to just give anyone who's able to stay on a chance to ask any questions. But just know too, we always send out a follow-up email with some of the resources that Ian and Jackie both mentioned, and then the recording to the meeting too. So if anyone does have to hop off because they've got a noon meeting or they're starving and need to go to lunch, great, go ahead. But I do want to give anyone who is able to stay on a chance to ask questions of Ian and Jackie, because they both shared such great information. And there might not be any questions, and that's okay. But like I said, I will send out everything to folks after the meeting here. really, really great presentations. Thanks for the great info to both you, Ian and Jackie. We appreciate everyone also jumping on and spending the hour with us again. And we look forward to next quarter's workforce convening. Thanks, everybody.